Pure Windswept. Elevate personal style with control, purpose, and adaptability. Danielle's haircut is going to be started here in the back. We've sectioned off a horizontal line here in the back down to start and give us that underneath section. This is going to start and build us our strength on the underneath. So we're going to create a strong line using our surface contour shear to create that. I'm going to start in the center, just separate the hair apart, comb it down, let the hair lay where it lives. I'm going to come in and I'm going to be able to cut in the direction I want the hair to go. I'm going to keep the line nice and free, so I'm going to work across and just a nice, clean, straight line underneath. On the other side, I want to always be able to cut in the direction I want the hair to go. So on the other side, with my surface contour shear, I'm able to turn my shear and come across and cut a nice, strong, straight line across on the other side. Let that hair live, let that hair be free and lay where it's going to be living. And now our next section is going to come above and we're going to switch to the surface razor. We've sectioned off our second section, this time using an arc section from just below the top of the ear across to the top of the other ear. We section off using target partings, and I've been working with our Trinity Protein Cream, which allows me to add our Amaranth Protein Tonic as well as our Basu Hydration and Moisture. This is going to keep Danielle's hair nice and soft for me to work through with the razor. The cutting, I'm going to come down, I'm going to start in the center again, and I'm going to take small pieces no longer than the length of my first knuckle. I'm just going to take that section there, and then it's going to get longer than the section underneath. So this is going to create for me this very jagged sort of an edge. So I'm going to start in this here. I'm going to start pushing the hair, always working to the outside. The arc section is going to make sure that I completely keep hair behind here in the red zone. I'll work back across here, the next section down. Just pinch it in my fingers. I'm going to leave it just a little bit longer. And then the last section here on the corner, come in and I'll just keep that section there again just a little bit longer. So it's very shadowed there over the top. On the other side, I'm going to cut in the opposite direction, again pushing that hair towards the outside. I'll come, take my section again in the center, only this time I'm going to be pushing the hair that direction, just keeping it nice and shadowed. It's going to take me about 6 sections to work across the back of this area here, just pushing out. And then the final section, just pushing that out to the outside. We just want to visually check. We're going to be going back in a little bit later on and checking it out with more detail. But right now, we're just going to keep that really nice, strong, shadowed shape over the top of the blunt line underneath. Our next section now, we're ready to go into the sides. We've sectioned our next section off. Now we've continued all the way through to the sides. As soon as we can get high enough up to incorporate the sides, we want to do that so that we have a nice even flow all the way through with the haircut. I'm going to come back and start again in the center of the back. I'm going to take the same sections as we did previously, just pinching these sections nice and small. Again, not being afraid to shatter this whole edge with the surface razor. I'll now move my way across, just bringing it through, seeing my guideline underneath, and just shattering off that line. This continues that very soft, jagged, organic edge that we're looking for on our Pure Windswept. I'll come in here, and then as I come into the sides, we just want to start directing this hair just back ever so slightly, keeping that so that we make sure that we maintain our length here into the corners at the front. So as we come across into these side areas here, we're just going to direct that hair back in and just make sure that we leave ourselves a really nice, strong, pointed corner on there as we come into that front. As we work through the front, that will continue to get longer. On the other side, I will continue to work away from the center. Take the pieces and just shadow those lines all the way through. My surface titanium razor with our silicone guard and our blade is very sharp, so it's going to blend through that really nice and soft, never jagging the edges. So I'm able to work through it. It's almost like working with a pencil, just drawing those lines in as I go. I come across here now at the back, just keeping an eye, a visual guide as I just start to shadow those lines into the side. And then again, as I come over here, making sure that I maintain my corner and my length going into the front. And just take that section out. Just loosen that hair away. Come back in. Anywhere it's a little bit heavy, it's a real easy check. You just come back in, just pinch your section again. And because we're just working on the edges, we just jag the edges of the haircut, and that's going to give us that really nice soft line. We're going to continue that now all the way through to the top, and then we're going to go into our interior. Having finished cutting the perimeter, we've now sectioned off our black zone. We're just going to be taking a very small amount out of this black zone just to break the back up a little bit. It's also going to be our guide into the green zone on the top. I'm just going to section my black zone into 3, taking these corners away, and then just taking the center, and we're just taking a very small amount here. So as I come through, I just want to drop it and make sure it's breaking just above where my perimeter line is. I'll come in, lay the blade flat, and I'm just going to shatter off that edge. Then I'm going to add in the corners, just coming across. I'm just going to take these corners here, add them in. Very small amount of hair. Don't go looking for more hair. Just take out what needs to be taken out. It's just to release a little bit of weight down here at the bottom so that we can activate some of our framing in there. Just taking that little corner out. So just shattering the top of our black zone. Our black zone now will act as a guide into our green zone. I'm going to start by taking a section right at the front of my black zone, combing that forward. I will now comb down, and I'll just turn Danielle into the camera so you can see. I'm going to start now working my line down towards the front. So this is the angle that we're going to be cutting. And in order to do this, I'm going to be keeping my razor behind, elevating up, just pinching the fingers slightly, and I'm just going to start to shatter my shape all the way out into the front. So that's going to act now as my guideline into the green zone. I'm going to work across in diagonal sections until I hit the ridge on the far side. The trick here is to make sure that as we pull this hair up, that we pinch those fingers in and that we shatter, that we get that nice shattering movement with the razor all the way out into the front. We'll continue this over until we hit the ridge line. We're now ready to frame our face. We started by taking a section out to the corner of the eye, just going back 1, 2 with our comb. As we comb this hair down, I'm going to hold it nice and tight between my fingers, and with my 6-inch contour shear, I'm going to come in and I'm just going to carve out just behind the fringe, just starting at the cheekbone and working our way out. This is just going to create a little space behind here. Space creates lift. This is going to help open that section out. Now I'm going to adjust and come in, take her fringe across. We're going to be starting around about the lip line, coming in with the contour shear again, and I'm just going to walk the shear across. And as I do it, I'm just going to let my fingers move back into the outside. So I just create that nice soft line running across the top. On the other side, we're just going to create a small little C shape. Again, just coming in, working the blade, hold the hair nice and tight, using the 6-inch contour. Just going to come in and just walk that blade out to the edge. So now we've created our frame working through the front, which means that when we start working with Danielle's hair with styling, we have these options of styling back, styling forward, and we also have created that opening just around her cheekbone. The last thing we need to do now is we're just going to connect our internal layers to our outside line. We're going to do this by switching back to the surface razor. I'm going to come in, take my section here at the ridge where we finished on the interior. I'm going to take my section here at the ridge, and then working with my blade just there, I'm just going to shatter into a progressive layer and just take that little corner out. That's just going to blend that inside to my exterior line. As I come to the front, I should be looking to take out less hair. As I come here, there'll be very little hair to take out. Just touch that and just let that be free. That just gives us that blend between the top and the outside. Coming over onto the other side, I'll come to the ridge on this side. I'll come out, I'll find my guide from the top. I'll come in with the surface razor, keeping the razor parallel to the floor, and just doing a little slight progressive layer to take me all the way to my guideline. At this stage now, we've completed the haircut, except for any cutting we may do later on as the hair is dry. With our decorating complete, it's now time to style our pure windswept. I'm going to be styling using jump mousse. Applying the jump through the hair, and then working it in with my fingers, just working that jump all the way through, getting that all the way in. To get a little extra pop in the root, I'm going to be coming in with our push powder. I'm going to sprinkle it just liberally through, a tiny bit through that area right there. Come in, get that push all the way in, and now we're ready for blow drying. Our pure windswept is styled. We're now going to go in and put our finishing touches on with our RZ blender. I'm going to start in the back, just elevating my sections out and taking my RZ blender in and just very gently and softly blending those ends. The little razors in my RZ fine teeth are just going to soften this edge for me. So as I start to move this hair around, I will have unconstructed and free layers all the way through the back. I'm just going to continue this across the back, elevating the hair out at 90 degrees from the head, then taking my blade in and just very softly freeing up those ends. Having feathered Danielle's hair with my RZ fine, I'm now going to finish using my texture paste. I'm going to take some of the texture paste, just put it on my thumb, onto my fingers, work it all the way through, and then gently just pull my texture paste through to bring out all those feathered ends. Pure windswept.